Hello again, everyone. This is Pradeep Goel, and it is a pleasure to speak with you all. It has been quite a few weeks since we last spoke, and I am really looking forward to the session today. And I get to do this second time over because the first time the AirPods were not working. And as one of my teammates just said, apparently it is easier to build a global healthcare platform than it is to get AirPods to work. So without further ado, let's get started. There's a very big agenda today, and I want to cover this agenda with you all in time for Q&A. So let's begin. I have a number of big updates for you all. The first one is our executive team and how it is growing and what we are really doing with the talent that we have brought in. So not just growing the team, but making sure the team is producing the kind of results we want. And I'm very pleased with that. The global update on the whole business, I will provide you an update on our pipeline, our progress with the product, our people, our clients, projects, everything. And then I want to talk to you about, and I have a question of all of you to ask, and I would like your feedback on the Solve token and its growing utility. And I have a very interesting conversation to have with you all. And then we'll talk about what we are doing to address the rapid growth of the company. There is a tremendous demand for Solve.Care platform on all corners of the world. I am honored and really humbled by how much demand we see for the product and the Care wallet and the Solve token. But we need to deal with this growth, and we are doing a number of things in that area. And we are also being recognized yet again, by the blockchain and the healthcare community. So that's become a habit to be awarded some really meaningful award, and we will talk about that. At the end of it, we're going to do a Q&A. So without further ado, let's get started. But let me start with a summary. In the last 60 days that we have been, last time I talked to you, we have accomplished an incredible amount. Now you know, and you've heard me speak before, that I'm used to plan, focus, execute, but very, very few companies, including the ones I've had the privilege of working or leading in the past, at the speed and the efficiency of Solve.Care. So I am honored, humbled, excited about what we are able to do in this company every month, every week, every day. It is an incredible organization that I am honored to lead. So let me move forward to the next slide and to walk you through for some of the big updates. First, I'm honored to welcome Dr. Hanekom as our Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Hanekom and I have had the privilege of working together, or rather, I've had the privilege of working with him back at Blue Cross when he was the Chief Medical Officer. Since then, he has led a variety of companies, and he led Arizona Care Network to amazing heights and amazing success as an executive. But what I value the most about Dr. Hanekom is his relentless focus on the patient. At all points, he always asks the question, how does it help the patient and their families? How are we doing in terms of engaging and empowering them? And no other executive that I know in the US or anywhere who has this incredible passion and energy to do what it takes to make the patient more effective in their self-care and in their managed care. And that is the vision he brought to Blue Cross. That's the vision he brought to Arizona Care Network. And that is exactly the vision I want from him at Solve.Care. Now, he had hoped to retire after he left Arizona Care Network, but I had other plans, and I met with him and I convinced him that his vision, his mission, his passion lies with us. And I promised him that he will have occasional weekend when he can enjoy his semi-retirement. But really, in reality, Solve.Care is doing exactly what he has always wanted to do in his life, and he has always pursued that passion. So we are honored to have him. I'm honored to call him a friend and a colleague, and to have him on our side, pushing the boundaries of what Solve.Care platform does for people around the world. I think really there are very few heights we cannot scale together. Dr. Hanekom also consults with the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services as a faculty member, which means he's advising the federal government in how to implement patient-centric, provider-centric, and population health management techniques that will help citizens around the country. And those techniques are not just US techniques. Those techniques apply to all large population groups. When you think about serving the entire diabetic population of a country or serving the healthcare needs of a multi-country region like Southeast Asia or Middle East or Canada or Latin America, those techniques that he has mastered are highly relevant. So we are already looking forward to having Dr. Hanekom do his first Asia tour in the middle of November. So he's going to be with us in several client and partnership meetings in Asia starting the end of first week of November. I'm looking forward to that. So please join me in welcoming him, an honored friend, certainly an esteemed colleague, and we look forward to his leadership as we develop the Solve.Care platform for your benefit, for my and my family's benefit, and every parent out there who needs to take care of their children or their parents. I'm also very excited to announce, if you were in my shoes, what would you not do? And I'm really excited to say that Mel has joined us as a general counsel, but also as a part of the executive council, where we can leverage his experience in building companies, in his experience with M&A, in his experience with healthcare, with provider community, with hospital community, with payer community. You can never have enough experience, right? And I certainly don't have the experience that this company needs all by myself. So I'm excited to have Mel join us. And as always, we gave him little to no time to get started before we called him out and said, please head over to the Kiev office and spend a couple of weeks with us in the growing cold of Ukraine. And he is here right next door to me in his office. So I'm going to switch over the video feed to him so he can introduce himself and speak to you all for a couple of minutes. So team, please switch over to Mel.
Thank you, Pradeep. This is Mel Deutsch. I appreciate the opportunity to meet the full Solve.Care team. I was hired by Solve.Care about a month ago, and that's in a technical sense. In the very real sense, I wasn't hired. I was more drawn to Solve.Care. And what drew me to Solve.Care was the power of one man's vision. And at this point, having heard Dr. Hanekom's bio and background, it's a shared vision, and it's shared beyond even those two men to a lot of women and other men that I've met this week, had the opportunity to meet this week in the Kiev office. So much so that I really believe if I was at a football game or something and I heard somebody say that, you know, what is it you do for a living? And they said, I improve healthcare. I would be inclined to say to them, well, you must work at Solve.Care, because that is the shared vision, and there's such a strong unifying sense around that purpose. And it's a pleasure personally to me, because I've spent 35 years in home health, hospice, hospitals, physician practice management, medical group purchasing, pharmacy companies, trying to do what this company is doing, and that is to improve healthcare. Very frustrating. I have done a lot of M&A, which mergers and acquisition work. I'm trying to develop vertical integration, horizontal integration, alignment of interests, and to centralize things. And what's funny is it ends up being counterintuitive. The best way to centralize and to achieve coordination of care, quality of care, a care that's delivered at the pull of the patient and the customer, is to decentralize. And that's really what I'm finding at Solve.Care and what drew me to work here. So I appreciate the opportunity to work here, and I look forward to meeting everybody in person. Thank you. Back to you, Pradeep.
And continuing with that, again, we are excited to have the kind of leadership that we need to make Solve.Care truly global. Mel, in his humility, did not mention all his experience, and I appreciate that. He is being humble. But one of the things that I really appreciate about a competent legal counsel is that they bring a business perspective, right? We are here not to be a law firm, but to make sure that we are doing things legally and regulatory-wise correct. But in the end, we are here as a healthcare company, as a healthcare platform. So we need to do things efficiently, and we need to make sure that we actually solve the business problems. And Mel's experience as a Six Sigma black belt and his convergence of corporate law, his M&A experience, his corporate experience, and he has led healthcare companies like Solve.Care himself. This is exactly what I was looking for. So this was not a very difficult decision. It is a little bit of a challenge to bring Mel in from California, where he lives, to Ukraine, but he is already showing that time means nothing at Solve.Care. We are used to working 24 hours. So welcome, Mel. Let's move to the next slide. And that is about the additional members of our team that we have signed on. So we're very excited to say that we have brought in our Director of Finance and Administration, Tae Yuan Kang, who is also here in the Kiev office. He's based out of our Singapore office and is responsible for the finance and administration from an accounting, compliance, and contracts perspective, working closely with Mel to ensure that we are managing our cash flow, our assets, our investments, and so on. And Tae has jumped in with both feet again, brings a lot of experience as CFO of a group of companies prior to that, and has lived and worked in Singapore for decades. So he brings a necessary relevant experience, because I want to make sure that as Solve.Care Global takes off in Asia, in addition to the US presence we clearly have, we have the right leadership in place. I'm also excited to welcome very soon Eleanor Cahill. Now, Eleanor is a remarkable lady who has spent decades in healthcare benefit administration. I believe she's originally from Australia, but I think she's adopted Singapore as her home. And she worked very, very closely with the senior leadership at Aon for many, many years. And a small funny story about Eleanor, we presented to her and the Aon leadership team not too long ago as a platform vendor, as a potential partner. And Eleanor was on the other side of the table listening to us and trying to understand what Solve.Care can do in Asia. And what better indication of our value and our appeal and her commitment to us, where she switched from being a client to being an executive of Solve.Care within a matter of weeks. Once she truly understood, and she did understand things very, very fast, that what we can do for employers, for employees, for patients, for doctors, for insurers, and how that would impact healthcare around the world, Eleanor reached out to us and said, not only I believe in what you're trying to do, I want to be part of it. And I want to join this company, and I want to move your vision forward. And it didn't take us very long to say yes to that proposal. That is an excellent endorsement when your client wants to be your reseller or wants to be your executive. So we are delighted to say that Eleanor will join us in full time at the beginning of next year, although she's already actively advising and working with our team, but she's wrapping up her duties at Aon so she can switch over to being a full-time Solve.Care executive. And her responsibility will be to develop the relationships with partners, vendors, clients, and insurers and all other manners of entities that we want to do business with in Asia. And her network and personal experience and expertise combined with our platform, we should be having a fantastic year. So I want to virtually welcome Eleanor, and I'm very delighted to see that our Asia team is rapidly taking shape. And this would be a good time to remind everyone that all of this has happened in the last few weeks, right? We were talking about launching an Asia office from a hypothesis perspective in Q1. We were talking about the logistics of launching it in Q2, and here we are at the end of Q3, and we are not only have we done it, we've done it well, and an excellent team is in place to launch a fantastic 2020. And many people in our world talk about rapid growth companies, and much of it is driven by how fast you can spend money. Startups typically define their growth by spending. We define our growth by doing. And what Solve.Care does is an incredible amount of work in a very short period of time. Now, which brings up a really interesting statement I wanted to share with you. We were the other day comparing the calendars of my calendar with Jason's calendar, who is based in Singapore, with Eleanor and Tae, and mine and my calendar. And we realized that we work 24 hours a day. It's kind of like the company on which they're break. The 12 hours to 14 hours a day that we have our US operations active, and the 12 to 14 hours a day that we have our Singapore operations active, we literally have a round the clock. Somebody at Solve.Care, the executive level, is actively engaged and in the office. This is very interesting. Where there is no time of the day or night when you cannot find Solve.Care team online, and Solve.Care clients have access to senior leadership team, and they can speak with us and engage with us. So we truly are a company that works literally around the clock, and our calendars are incredible. When we try to balance the time zones between the west coast of US, the east coast of US, the middle, then Ukraine, then Singapore, Korea, Japan, the Middle East, our administrative team does a fantastic job. It really is a 24 hours a day calendar, and our calendar is incredibly full in terms of we are literally jumping between meetings in the east coast of US to the west coast of Korea, and that happens all in the same week. So it's remarkable. It's challenging, it's exciting, but most importantly, it is working, and that's really what that matters. Results are absolutely coming through. While we were doing all that, I also want to talk about some significant progress both in US and Asia. Now, I know you all want names, but I will tell you enough for you to understand while not breaching the NDAs we have in place. First, in Asia. As you know, Jason Daney is a regional president for Asia, and he has a phenomenal network, and now he is supported by Tay and Eleanor, and we are adding other people very quickly. But with Jason's efforts and with the progress that Solve.Care has made in terms of his product, we are currently in partnership discussions that are strategic in nature with a global consulting company, which all of you have heard of. I will not mention their name because they asked us not to, but they are becoming quickly our go-to-market consulting arm in terms of delivery of Solve.Care platform to payers and providers and insurers and so on. We are in dialogue with multiple global benefits administrators, again with huge footprint around the planet, who are looking to adopt our platform for benefit administration and sell it to their clients. We are talking to a multinational clinical care company which wants to adopt our platform from for its entire physician and patient network. We are talking to a multinational laboratory system that wants to use Solve.Care platform as a way to coordinate care between patient, referring physician, referred physician, lab, the members of the care circle of the patient, and the payer. And they imagine the complexity around that, and many more. None of them I will name because we are under NDA with all of them, and this is certainly not the list. But if you think about how short a period we have been in Asia and how much traction we are getting, first is thanks to efforts of Jason and Tay and Eleanor, but it's also a testimony to the relevance of our platform. We are also making sure that out of all the opportunities that we are seeing in Asia, we focus on the ones that drive massive adoption of the Care Wallet and the Solve token. We are very much oriented in Asia to both B2B and B2C model, not just B2B. In the US, we are primarily a B2B platform with a focus on B2B2C, but in Asia, we're looking at it as a both B2B and a B2C platform. More on that later as we have, when we ink these deals, and you will hear about them as soon as they are done. But I'm amazed at the penetration and the opportunity that is emerging, and I think soon enough I'll get used to it, but it is phenomenal progress that we have global powerhouses in the consulting and delivery business. We have global benefit administrators. We have clinical care and procedural care systems with thousands of locations turning to us and saying, this is perfect. I need this for my doctors, for my patients, for my family members, for my insurance relationships, and so on. So on the Asia side, I'm very pleased. On the US side, I have reason to be even more pleased. HMS is our federal contract partner as well as our partner in bringing innovative solutions that they are developing that they want to put into the Care Wallet. So I just got on the phone with one of our senior executives at HMS who we work with closely, and we are working on a telehealth and referral solution through the Care Wallet that not only leverages HMS's already existing footprint in US, but also bringing it to consumers and providers and insurers in Asia. And that telehealth solution is a perfect additional Care.Card capability in the Care Wallet. And we showed some of those solutions in the early days in our Korea meetup, which many of you probably were not part of. But I want to share with you the fact that we are working closely on strategic fronts, from bringing a very advanced telehealth capability and a very advanced referral network that allows us to get second opinion or third opinion type solutions in place around the planet. So this is not a solution just for the US, it's a solution for the whole planet, but it is a solution that we feel we bring with a unique capability in partnership with HMS. HMS is also making significant progress in the government projects that they are pursuing, the federal projects. We made a strategic decision that we will focus on the federal government in the US first over state, and that's where HMS's core strengths are, although they are quite competent in the state market as well. And we have had several presentations and conversations through HMS with the federal government responsible for healthcare for millions of Americans. And we expect to see significant progress in the near term and a decision in the early 2020. When it comes to US government, that's lightning speed, right? Sometimes it takes 3 to 5 years to get a decision. And I think it's a testimony to HMS's expertise and relationships and credibility and past qualifications that we can speak about contracts early next year. Similarly, with Dr. Hanekom and I, we are pursuing other government opportunities through other partners. I will speak about them when those partnerships have bore fruit. But HMS is bringing us into one federal agency, and we have another partner that we are looking at bringing us into another federal agency. And if you know anything about the US government business model, most companies tend to be agency specific. They have developed qualifications and expertise in the business of one or more agency. So it is normal to work with partners who are agency centric, although HMS does multi-agency work. So they are a great partner for us, but so are others. So I expect to hear more on the federal government projects early next year, but I'm very encouraged by the traction HMS has created for themselves and for the Solve.Care platform. Last but not the least, we are in final negotiations with Dinokratis to become a reseller of Solve.Care platform in a very specific sector, the ACO TPA sector in the US. The ACO market is the accountable care market, which is where Arizona Care Network leads. But there's also a TPA market that we are interested in, which is the third-party administrators, which are essentially non-risk-bearing insurers who help self-insured employers and multinational companies to manage their benefits. And we are a fantastic solution for them as a Solve.Care Care Wallet solution. So Dinokratis will be finalized in the next few weeks as the reseller of choice to pursue. While it's a non-exclusive reseller relationship and we reserve the right to sign additional resellers, we are really going to get behind Dinokratis to make sure that they have the best shot at penetrating this market. And then we'll evaluate the progress quarterly to make sure that this relationship can either be the sole relationship or can be augmented with other regional relationships. But this is an important strategy, and I want you to understand this. There are, between ACO and TPA market, there are probably about 2,000 potential clients in the US alone. And that market combined serves and will serve somewhere between 1/3 and half of the US population. So somewhere between 100 million and 150 million people will fall under ACO or TPA sector over the next year to 3 years. And I expect that market to grow faster. While the central insurance market will not diminish, ACO and TPA market supplements that. So if you think about it, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, pulmonary disease, and on and on and on. So there is a sort of a perfect synergy between the aging population, the growing complexity of chronic diseases, and the need for coordinated care, either in the form of an ACO or TPA or a combination. I also predict that the ACO and TPA sector will start to converge over the next 3 to 5 years, and we want to be well ahead of the curve. But immediately in the market, having the ACO and the TPA market as a client base allows us to diversify our revenue base significantly and get the wallet in the hands of millions of people faster. So these are very strategic moves, and we are making them all in parallel. Yes, Asia is growing rapidly in terms of its potential, and US is growing rapidly in terms of the revenue. Let's move forward to some of the other updates I want to do. So our team is right now, or has been in Arizona for the last few weeks, launching the diabetes program in partnership with Boehringer Ingelheim and Arizona Care Network. And we have been conducting trainings, and we have been preparing for the launch of the Diabetes Care Network. And the Diabetes Care Network is going through its UAT, user acceptance testing, right now between Boehringer and Arizona Care Network. And we expect to launch it as soon as we get the sign off. And there is definitely a cycle of improvements and retesting that is happening, which is quite normal. But I expect that you will hear about the launch of the Diabetes Care Network in a matter of days. I don't have a specific date, but that depends on the client. But the date is literally a few days away, not months away. So you should be expecting the Diabetes Care Network to launch in a matter of somewhere in the calendar month of November, because we are a few days away from November starting. One thing I will say, I'm very proud of the fact that we don't publish boring guides and user manuals that nobody reads. Our team has deployed a fantastic model of storybook type manuals where we tell a story, and through the story, the care coordinator or the member can go ahead and get to use the wallet. And I want to give you a little taste of how this network works with all the various roles that are involved in this very complex, very powerful disease management system that we have built. So I'm going to ask the team to play a short video introducing to you the avatars of the Care Wallet that make up what sounds like a simple diabetes care management solution. So team, please switch to the video if you can, and play that video for our community. Great, thank you for that. So let's continue with the rest of the presentation. I am sure many of you have an interest in knowing how is our equity round going. So before we go any further on that update, I want to make sure that you understand my criteria. I've always made this clear to everyone that capital is important, but quality of capital is much more important. What does that mean? It means that we want capital partners who are not just have fabulous amount of capital available to invest in high growth companies, but actually will participate in our growth. And that boils down to two things: an appreciation of healthcare, right? Healthcare is a unique animal. You need to understand it. You need to understand how to decompose it and how to solve it. And our vision is massive. We're not talking about fixing healthcare just in the US. We're talking about making healthcare better globally. And we need an organization that has that global vision around healthcare. We also need an organization that has the portfolio of companies, partners, clients that we can work with. So their capital comes with the ability to leverage our platform in their network of partners, clients, and entities. And I'm very keen to make sure that our company is drawing capital from those who understand and share our vision. We are currently down to two clear front runners. One is a consortium of investors in Asia, which is some of the top tier equity providers working together to become part of the Solve.Care equity pool. And the second one is a very large, one of the best known equity funds on the planet that is looking at Solve.Care as an investment. So the second option, of course, is a single investor option, but they would dwarf most anybody else in terms of their size. And the first is a group of investors with a very diverse set of portfolio which come together to help us penetrate the Asian market. We expect term sheets before end of the year. We have certain milestones to achieve on our side to get these term sheets done, primarily around making sure that the year-end revenue is met and our contracts that we are expecting to sign in this quarter are signed. So we expect all of that to happen like clockwork, and I expect the term sheets will be in our hands anytime in the Q4. I cannot commit to the date, but I expect them to be in the next few weeks. And once we have the term sheets, then we can have a clarity on the closing date. It could be days, it could be weeks, most likely it's between several weeks and a few months. So this likely scenario to close the equity round with the right quality of partner is early Q1, which is fine. We are comfortable with that, although I would like to do everything I can to close this round by end of the year. Let me talk to the Solve utility. This is always on our mind. How do we make sure that our platform and our token work hand in hand to deliver greater value? You're all familiar with the platform utility, right? Solve is needed to access the platform, both from a B2B perspective and from a B2C perspective. That part you've all known, and you've known about it from the beginning. What is really interesting is that increasingly, since we announced the Solve's dual mode operation, where it has variable cost and outside the network and fixed cost inside the network, we are starting to see significant interest in Solve serving as the network currency inside the network. What that means is that over time, Solve replaces Care.Coin as the stable coin. Because if Solve is going to stabilize as soon as it hits the network, then there really is no difference between Solve and Care.Coin in its modality of operation inside the network. So we will give the client the option to issue Care.Coins because they can be private labeled, but in effect, Solve essentially serves the same purpose moving forward, in which case Solve will not be private labeled. So we are looking at various different models where over time, Solve serves both the Care.Coin and the Solve token purpose, but today we are offering both those options because we don't want to go back and take away the private labeling that Care.Coin represents. But in reality, the dual mode operation of Solve will eventually become the preferred choice. And as we floated this capability to our prospects and our clients, the added value of Solve being a stable coin inside the network is that you can use the same token in multiple networks. So while you have a single network scenario today, okay, that's fine, you can use either. But as you start to think about, hey, I'm an insurance company and I have my benefit network, but there's also this thing called diabetes care network, there's also this thing called heart disease network or cancer care network or pharmacy network or telemedicine network. And if I use Solve, then my patients or my providers or my families or my employers can easily from the same wallet access services in these other networks where I just want to sponsor rather than create. Now I have much broader utility. So by using Solve as a network currency, it achieves that ultimate goal of a patient, you or I or our parents or our children with a Care wallet to have the ability to join as many networks as I need, and regardless of where I earned or deposited Solve tokens or bought from, I can use them in any other network. So you see the potential here. We are using Solve in its stablecoin capacity to drive the unifying force between different networks, regardless of who sponsored it, regardless of whether it's insurance company or the employer or the government or the pharma or the services delivery organization that wants you to have access to the services or transportation. It becomes easier for me to cut across all networks with from the same Care wallet and use the same Solve token regardless of where and how I received it in the context of services provided by somebody else. So it becomes a very flattened universe. It's a network of networks from a Solve token perspective. And that is where we want to get to, because ultimately as a Care wallet holder, you are going to care less and less about who gave you the token or who you want to spend the token on, because it's the same token. So that's really important. And this is one of my key objectives for 2020, is to move us closer and closer towards Solve, not just as a utility token, but also as the de facto default network currency across every Care network we launch in anywhere on the planet. In addition to that, we need to make sure Solve is more easily available. So we are exploring all options to make Solve token more easily accessible, more easily buyable, more easily available. And in that regard, we're looking at partnerships that will allow us to do that without breaking the regulatory framework, without making sure that we become any kind of an exchange. So the partnership with third-party solution providers who can offer us the ability for Solve token to be acquired within the wallet, but to be handled from a transactional perspective by the third-party vendor to ensure KYC and AML. You're already familiar with the reserves that we are going to start extracting Solve tokens out of the flow and put them in the STR. Our board has already signed off on the STR, and we have already put in the infrastructure for the STR to be stood up, and we have run enough transactions through the STR model to be comfortable that the model will sustain in different scenarios of billing. So we are prepared to turn on the STR. It is linked to the launch of the B2C and the B2B networks where the token flow will feed the STR. So the infrastructure for STR is in place. The test model have been tested. We will, as soon as the general flow of B2C tokens begin, we can turn on the STR in terms of data, in terms of token collection. Let me actually talk about the most interesting topic about Solve that is not a statement but a question. So here is a question to the community. We have been hearing and thinking and discussing internally about staking as an option for Solve token holders. And here is my question. Would it make sense for Solve holders to become stakeholders by staking their tokens for one or more of these roles? And we are right now working with the hypothesis that there are three roles that a Solve token holder can stake to have access to. The first is a product advisor. And that role is essentially the ability to audit the product management council, to participate in the creation of the product roadmap for the next 2 quarters. As you know, we do quarterly product reviews and product roadmaps, and then we execute on the roadmap. And to also bring to us potentially partnership and solutions and network design strategies that are specific to their country. So if you live in Vietnam and you are either a clinician or you are an insurance executive or you are a healthcare IT tech analyst or advisor or strategist, as a product advisor, you would have a seat at the table. But to ensure that you have the right interest of Solve.Care and Solve community at heart, you would have to stake a meaningful amount of tokens from the Care wallet. Similarly, we are looking at the role of a business advisor, which is a more strategic advisory function. Think of it as the ability to audit the advisory board calls. And as you all know, we rely upon our advisors in US and abroad to have a clear understanding of how to penetrate each market. And last but not the least is what we call an advanced developer, authorized developer, who can participate in our product from a development perspective, including access to beta products, as well as the access to internal APIs that would help them build a more deeply integrated Care.Card, or even to build an entire Care network and launch it in their own country, thereby making them essentially the handpicked development community that has the right to launch Solve.Care networks in their authorized market. And these three roles are what we are starting to develop a staking model around, and we have created the staking capability in the Care wallet. But I want to ask the community to give me feedback. pros and cons of doing it, and I would like to hear your experience with other staking models to see how this compares and what are the lessons learned. We have the time to gather this feedback and make a decision, and I'm giving myself 30 days or less to get through this process of gathering input, analyzing risks, and then making a decision. And I would like to make a decision on staking as a path forward for Solve community by end of November, if not sooner. So I encourage you all to reach out to us through the various channels that are available to you and advise us on what you think would be the pros and cons of staking. What would be a different or better or enhanced staking model than the one we have presented to you? And what do you think we should be careful about, and what lessons have you learned from working with projects that have done staking in the past and done so successfully? So this is again a model that we are deeply considering. We are also having conversations with the legal team to ensure that staking can be done in a regulatory compliant way. And we're also making sure that we don't do anything that creates any kind of fraud, waste, or any other kind of concerns that any regulator might have. So this is going to be done right, or we're not going to do it at all. But I would welcome your thoughts and feedback on staking as an option for Solve token holders as a mechanism to become stakeholders beyond the token. Continuing on with the update, one of my proudest accomplishments as a company is always developing the next generation who is going to help us deploy the platform. And one of the things that my team keeps asking me, Jason asked me this question yesterday again, and this is, I will try to quote him verbatim. Pradeep, we have so much interest and opportunity in the platform. Big companies typically struggle with deploying that much around the planet, and we are going to have to deal with time zone differences, culture differences, language differences, regulatory differences, and we are getting pulled into so many different markets so quickly. Are we able to deploy this? Well, the answer, of course, is we have to make sure that we sign what we can deliver and we deliver what we sign. That's a given. So, of course, we don't have infinite capacity. Nobody does. And those who think they have infinite capacity are fooling themselves. But we do need to be ready. We do need to improve our ability to deploy in parallel. Thank you. So the question here is, how do we scale our organization quickly to be able to develop more care networks, more care cards, more care protocol pairs, and so on? And one of that is to build a network of developers, which I will talk about in greater detail in the next AMA, and which part of it staking is trying to address. But it is also internal resources. So we are increasing the size of our academy. We are running more and more parallel courses. And I'm very excited to say that our fourth class, I believe, of 2019 will graduate in a few weeks. And that's fantastic, because this young generation has no fear. They have no restrictions, no limitations. You show them a path, they will scale any height. And if I want to leave a legacy, the legacy that I want to leave with the Solve.Care transfers into the hands of this generation to change the world long after I'm not here speaking with you. For that, we must build the leadership team, that development, technology, analysts, client-facing people. And that's what Academy does for us. So we are ramping up the budget for Academy for next year. And we are very pleased with the results of Academy so far this year. And we're going to see a lot more of that happen. But these young people that you see on screen right now are about to graduate from their class, and they will join us, all of them, most of them, and they will be responsible for being part of the Care.Card factory, which is where we do most of the network design and the card development. Which brings me to the next thing. This is a great accomplishment of our marketing team, and they are amazing. Marketing team is sort of the heartbeat of this company. They have infinite energy, infinite creative ideas, and they accomplish so much so quickly every day. And I often hear that Solve.Care's market reach, its brand, its communication, it dwarfs anybody else. We are more active in more channels with more content than anybody else. So marketing team led the Care.Card design contest for 2019. We had almost 700 registrations from 73 countries. Now that is a fantastic, fantastic performance. To have that many people around the planet study the Solve.Care platform, understand how it works, and then to register to build care cards for it. Now, whether you win the design contest or not is hardly important. What is important is that you understand what Solve.Care platform can do and recognize how it can do it for you and your parents and your children and your coworkers and your employees. I think the only big country we have left here is Greenland. And I think I'm going to have to make a visit there to make sure that Greenlanders start using Solve.Care platform as well. But having said that, this is a great penetration. We have practically covered the globe in terms of awareness and interest in the Solve.Care platform from a developer perspective. To feed this development interest, we have invested heavily in the Care.Card design library. I'm a big believer in the way Steve Jobs used to think and the way he structured and engineered Apple iOS and the Apple products. And I'm a big believer in reusability and standardization. So even our Care cards are getting standardized, where our team has built a massive library of design tiles, which can be very quickly configured, whether for content or for action or for information or for choices. And these tiles can be dropped onto the Care card within a matter of minutes, and a very attractive Care card can be designed very, very quickly. Consider the fact that our clients ultimately should be able to drop tiles on a card and create a very personal, unique experience for a participant of the Care Wallet holder or a network participant. And to achieve that goal, we are investing heavily in this highly reusable design library. And I'm also very proud to say that we have the design library already being converted into other languages. So we have English version, we just released the Korean version, and expect to see a lot more languages come through. And this is a way for us to truly achieve rapid deployment of Care cards. And my goal is someday a customer service rep or a physician or a front office administrator or a busy medical EMT, emergency medical technician can draw and build their own Care card while they are busy doing their job by just dropping and configuring the tiles and their behavior in the context of their wallet and their Care cards. But that step by step, we will get there. The fact that we can now build cards and Care cards much, much faster than we used to be able to build even 3 months ago is a step towards scaling the organization to all parts of the planet. Last but not the least, so we keep hearing from the community of blockchain and healthcare companies that we are on the right track. And sometimes it is nice to actually get that as a reminder. In New York, a few days ago, we were given 2 awards by the World Blockchain Forum in terms of the top 5 innovative blockchain technology solutions and top 5 outstanding projects. So we are very delighted to be recognized once again. The awards themselves are not important. What is important is the journey that brings us to that award. And the journey is, do we have a team? Do we have a product? Do we have clients that like our product? And do we have a strategy to execute on a consistent basis? There is never a day where there are no problems, right? If any of you have ever run any complex project or have ever run a company, there is no day where you don't have something that challenges you. But it's the end of each day, what you have accomplished, that matters. And these awards are in some ways just a recognition of the fact that the team is very focused and is continuously executing, and they overcome challenges as they occur. And believe me, there are plenty of challenges. So let's wrap up by summarizing where we are. The platform is growing rapidly, both in terms of a B2B play and in terms of a B2C play. The team is growing carefully, where we are adding executives to the equation that really help deal with the incredible mission and opportunity that Solve.Care represents. And then we are doing this in a way that we are truly operating as a global organization rather than an organization that has much to say and little to do. And our vision to achieve Solve.Care as the most important platform, and for patients, for family members, for providers, for employers, and the Solve token as a de facto token that will allow everyone to exercise and access and pay for healthcare in a meaningful way, is really no longer at this point in time a vision, but rather a journey that we are well on our way. And I don't know that there is actually an endpoint or a summit to be reached, because no matter how high we go, we're always going to want to go higher. But I am very convinced, very clearly confident that as long as we stick to the truth, which is plan, focus, execute, repeat, and stay on the right side of the law and right side of the integrity and values, we are going to ultimately build the company all of you will be proud of and already are proud of being associated with. So that's where we are. Long update. We probably are running short on the Q&A period. So I'm going to end this PowerPoint and switch to the question that I've just been handed to. So here is the first question. I'll just go down in no particular sequence. First question. What does Pradeep mean by Solve being a stable coin, and how will the stable coin be priced? The stable coin behavior of Solve token means the following. When Solve token is injected by the client, the network sponsor, into the Care network, which is the network on which token can be consumed, where all the wallets participate, be it the Diabetes Care network or the Provider Rewards program or the Cancer Care network and so on. When a token enters that network through the master wallet, it is established as a stable coin. The value of the token at that point in time is fixed. And as long as that token circulates in that network, the entry value is the redemption value of the token. It's only when that token leaves the network and is redeemed in the market on an exchange or through any kind of a peer-to-peer transaction outside the network does it become variable again. So what it means is that Solve token is fully flexible in its value in the market. But when a client consumes that token to pay for the platform or to pay for services of the platform or to provide access to services to its membership in the platform, that point in time, token becomes stable. That token has no longer variability. It is a fixed value token. But in its essence, it has two states. It has a variable state outside the Care network and a fixed state inside the network. The value of each token entering the network is determined at entry point, which is normally linked to the cost of purchase. So our clients, when they buy through our OTC desk, for example, have the ability to purchase tokens from the OTC desk at whatever price the market is offering. And when they inject that token into the network in the master wallet, the purchase price becomes the redemption price. In effect, it stabilizes the value of that Solve token for the duration it lives inside the Care network. What that means is it allows our clients, insurance companies, government agencies, partners, employers, to not to deal with any kind of volatility of Solve token because purchase price is redemption value. And it allows them to offer Solve token as a stable coin instead of issuing Care coins where they were setting the value. And this ability, combined with the ability of the same Solve token being usable across networks, makes it very, very attractive for them. So that's what this means. I don't believe there are very many platforms or tokens that have the property of being both waveform and matter form. If you're a fan of quantum theory as I am, outside the Care network, Solve is in waveform. Once it hits the Care network, it is a matter form. And then it hits a waveform again when it exits the network. And it may never exit the network. It may stay in the network forever, which is equivalent to it being locked up and never coming out again. But when it does exit the network, for example, in the form of a payment for a ride to Uber, then it becomes variable. So this is the model that is proving to be very powerful when we discuss various network designs. Now, I want you to understand that we allow for different network designs. It is not one design fits all. So some clients will still say, I want Care coin because I want private labeling. Sure. Some clients will say, I don't want to have a Solve token model because I want to have Solve token only invisible to the wallets and I want to have Solve token only at the platform level. Fine. You have to have Solve token to run the platform, but whether you expose Solve token to your network participants in the form of Care coin, which is a derivative, or it is in the form of Solve token itself, is a network design issue. The more flexibility we have, the more likely we'll get adoption from the mega multinationals, insurers, and government agencies. And what we are finding is that there is not very much we cannot do to address the regulatory concerns and financial concerns of our clients. All the flexibility in the platform that we have built lets us deal with a wide array of use cases. And we are finding that our core premise that Solve token will become more valuable, will have much greater utility if it can be used as a network currency, is proving to be correct. Next question we have is onboarding more clients. What is the volume of new clients? And will the Solve stable token be priced at? So I think there are three questions. Onboarding more clients, absolutely. We expect to sign, as I mentioned in my previous discussion with you all, at least 2, if not 3 more contracts this year. We are working hard to make that happen. We have a target for a fixed number of clients for next year, and we are well on our way to achieving that. Although it's never easy, it's clear how we're going to get there. And in terms of our volume of clients, we haven't made that public because that would give our competition a very good sense of what is our delivery capacity, what is our target market. But what I will say is this: we are not looking for a 10, 20, 30, 50% growth year upon year. We are looking at 2, 3, 400% growth year upon year. And from 2018 to 2019, we will experience 700% growth. Now, our goal is to continue on a very similar trajectory, although it cannot necessarily be the same percentage each year, but we are looking at a multiplier each year in terms of revenue growth, which then extrapolates to clients. So you can do the math yourself, but what I'm telling you is that we will demonstrate, post our audited numbers, that from 2018 to 2019, we grew well over 600%, more likely 700%. And next year, our targets are in a similar range. Next question is, how is the equity round going? What are the reasons for the extension? The equity round is going well. It is slower than I had hoped for, largely because I haven't been able to invest all my energy in this area. Jason has started leading it more and more since he came on board, and he's been doing a fantastic job. But I do need to invest more time in it. And I'm split between business development, equity round, and delivering on the BI projects. So we are adding executives to help do all that. But equity round is just a journey that, while it is taking longer than I wanted, it's not longer than my advisors thought it would take. We are within the window of what they told us it might take, but our more optimistic scenario is that we could do it in a matter of 3 months is turning out to be it's going to take actually 6 months. But part of the reason for the delay is our insistence that we don't want money. We want money with real access to markets and money with access to healthcare. So it has allowed us to be very clear on what money we can say no to and what money we will say yes to. And that actually is a good thing. I don't want to act in haste and regret at leisure. And it is very clear to me that we have interest from different types of players, financial, strategic, even clients. And we need to be careful. We don't want to just jump on the first available offer. We want to make sure the offer we accept is the one that will sustain this company's growth for many years, at least for the next 3 to 5 years. So our selectivity and us not wanting to jump on every offer that comes our way is a part of the reason why we are needing more time. But I'm not concerned in the sense that we are still within our window that we internally established. We are not in the aggressive window, but we are certainly in the window that our advisors told us would probably be more appropriate. Next question. Boehringer Ingelheim deployment, that is the one I just mentioned earlier. We are on track to deliver the Diabetes Care Network. This should be going live in a matter of days. We're in the testing and acceptance phase with both Boehringer and ACN. And I think at this point in time, we will be on time. But there is going to be a series of enhancements we'll release once we have the network out in the market and we have feedback from patients and doctors. But I am pleased with the work that the team has done, very pleased with that. And our client is very happy with the progress we have made. So we are on time at this moment in time. And if we release in the month of calendar, we'll be spot on. And I think that is very achievable as long as the team stays very focused, and they will. We are running out of time. I've been tapped on the watch a couple of times. So let me just answer a couple of more questions that I may not have covered. Next question was, how's the recruitment going? I've covered that. What's the progress in Boehringer? I've covered that. The next question is, does mainland China offer near-term prospects given their focus on healthcare? And the answer is, we are going to approach China as a partnership opportunity, not a direct sales opportunity. We have been very clear about that Solve.Care is not big enough or strong enough to barge into China by itself. And we are talking to partners, many of them I mentioned are multinational with hefty footprint in China that act as a gateway. And through these partnerships, we will penetrate Asia in terms of China, India, South Korea, Japan. All of these countries are in play. So China is not off the radar at all, but it is very much a partnership, gateway partnership driven model. So we have someone who knows how to navigate in China properly to be able to bring our solution to the right client in the right regulatory framework. The next question is, you said you were turning clients away. At what point do you see yourself pursuing allowing additional clients? When I say we are turning clients away, what I mean is not we're turning every client away. What we are saying is that we're choosing clients that have a similar focus and mindset as our platform expects and deserves. So we are being selective in who we work with, not that we are saying no to every client. And the fact is that we expect to have dozens of care networks stood up next year, not a few, but dozens. And that comes from having clients who want to sponsor those networks. So I'm not expecting us to be a single client company. We are not. We have 2 significant clients, and we expect to have clients next week as a multiple of that. The last question I will cover is, when are the testing phases of your products will be over, and when will you be implemented 100%? So Diabetes Care Network that we have launched we are launching in the next few days is a significant new step for Solve.Care in terms of platform utilization. But we've been in production with ACN since 2018. So we are not in a beta phase. We haven't been in a beta phase since March of 2018. So we've been out of beta and in production for a long time. And millions of dollars are paid out to the Solve.Care platform to doctors today. So this is not something that we are toying with. But what we are doing is expanding the network capabilities far beyond the original scope. So now we have administrative networks, which are around benefits, eligibility, verification, enrollment, claim submission. We have clinical networks around diabetes care management, cancer care management, and other diseases, as well as care coordination. And then we have financial network capability in terms of real-time payments, real-time incentives, real-time rewards. These are all the capabilities of the core Solve.Care platform, and our clients can leverage one or more of these for their business model. So we are by no means as a alpha beta product. We are a live product, and we expect to grow this platform for a very long time to come. So think of it this way. Version 1 and 2 are out. Version 3 is what we are focused on. And these are not versions that we are doing in the lab. These are production-ready versions that our client expects to operate in the hands of hundreds of thousands of wallets per network. And we expect dozens of networks to be live over the next 12 months. With that, I know I probably didn't answer all the questions. I'm sure there are many more great questions from you all. What I will do after this EMA is over, have the team gather these questions and then get on a chat and try to answer some of these over the weekend. So everyone, have a great rest of the day. Thanks for joining us. As always, I gave you a tremendous amount of information, and I want you all to take the time to absorb it and then come back to us with any suggestions, guidance, comments. We welcome that. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you very much.